Someone want to repeat? Someone want to unmute? Yeah. Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna. So I'm going to start our reading, and then after that you can take over. And what I want to start is with the beginning of the Caitanya Caritamrita, because in the first 7 verses of the Caitanya Caritamrita, the whole text of the Caitanya Caritamrita is summarized. So I'm not going to read all the verses. I'm going to only verse the ones that are relevant to Lord Chaitanya, because some are relevant to Advaita Acharya, Nityananda, the whole Panchatattva. But I'm just going to read. Let me. I forgot my notes. Forgot my notes. I had all the recipes, or like the boga for the feast today on my notebook. So, so the beginning of the Caitanya Caritamrita, in the first chapter, it kind of summarizes the entire text. And then after that, the philosophy, and is expanded for the first 12 chapters. And then in chapter 13, that's where the story of Lord Chaitanya starts. So I'm just going to start with the first verse, because it's the first verse of the Caitanya Caritamrita, and we can have a lot of reverence for Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who in his old age, he's 90-year-old. Like I was telling my mom, like, can you imagine that in your 90s will be the best time of your life? She had a little hard time with that, but after a while, she kind of surrendered to her daughter and said, okay, maybe. But Krishnadas Kaviraj, that's the age he was in his 90s, when and he was, very handicapped, emaciated, blind, almost deaf, very weak. And that's when he wrote the Caitanya Caritamrita. So we want to just honor him, because without Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, we will not have the Caitanya Caritamrita. And of course, we want to honor Srila Prabhupada, and we can start with that too. Oma Gyanatimeram Dasya Gyanajala Shalakaya Shakshun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamini. Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvesesha Shunyavadi Paskacha Dejatarini. Because without Srila Prabhupada, we will not have the Caitanya Caritamrita either. And Prabhupada, really relish, was very, very fond of the Caitanya Caritamrita. He relished every moment of the Caitanya Caritamrita. In fact, when he came in Jaladuta, which, takes 10 days, I believe, to cross the ocean on such a boat. Well, it took a lot longer because he didn't come from Europe. So it took months. And he was reading the Caitanya Caritamrita every day. That's what he was doing. He was completely absorbed in the Caitanya Caritamrita. And so we want to learn to relish Caitanya Caritamrita like Srila Prabhupada did. So first verse read, I believe it's Sanskrit. Vande Gurum Isha Bhaktam Isham Isha Vatarakam Tat Prakasham Tat Shat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Samyakam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual masters, the devotee of the Lord's incarnations, his plenary portions, his energies, and the primary Lord himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So that's the Panchatattva. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Godadaye Pushpavanto Shitro Sadao Nadao. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. And yesterday we spoke about our Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya, he, of course, you know, like there is so many. We went back to Lord Krishna, Lord Krishna's advent because of Mother Bhumi and Brahma petitioning Chirodakashayi Vishnu, and the Lord saying, "Okay, you demigod and all my associates, you take birth in the Yadu dynasty." So similarly, Lord Chaitanya, before he came, he sent his associates on this earth. He sent his associates to take birth in his family, as for his parents, his teachers, and also the Panchatattva's as his elders. So Advaita Acharya is in the generation of Lord Chaitanya's parents, and he came on earth a full generation before Lord Chaitanya. And when he came from the spiritual world, he was a little shocked to see. I don't know what he will think now, but it was a little shock. Even so, he came in Gauda, like in the land of Navadvip, and people were probably very pious and clean and following so many rules and regulation and living in a life that's not fully sinful. But he came and he saw there is so much lack of Krishna consciousness. So we spoke about our Advaita Acharya seeing all that, and he said, like, if they are sinful or if they are pious, still they don't have the goal of life. They don't have a direction towards pointing out to love of Krishna. And so he petitioned the Lord to come, and he did that, kind of challenging the Lord, saying to the Lord, like, come on. You say that you will fulfill all the desire of someone who offer you of tulasi leaf and some water. So now I'm going to do that, and you better, follow your promise, because otherwise that doesn't work. If you don't follow your promise, then what will people think about you? And so Advaita Acharya very intensely worshipped Tulasi that way on the bank of the Ganges River, and then he petitioned the Lord to come. And so that's the purport of that verse. So now we are reading text 3. What the Upanishad describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body. And the Lord known as the super soul is but his localized plenary portion. He is the supreme personality of Godhead himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater or equal to him. May that Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sakshi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chamber of my heart, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. He has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow test of his service. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow test of his service. The mellow test of his service. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami continue. The loving affair of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestation of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Also, Radha and Krishna are one in their identity. They separated themselves eternally. Now, these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani. Also, he is Krishna himself. So this external reason for Lord Chaitanya to come, of course, again, it's like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he writes first in code, like the Vedanta Sutra is just sutra, and then it's expanded in a Srimad Bhagavatam. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tend to do that. He tend to present the text in sutra, and then after he expand it. So here we have like the external reason for Lord Chaitanya to come to bestow. Appear in the age of his causeless mercy to bestow with what no incarnation has ever offered, the most sublime or radiant spiritual knowledge. So he inaugurated the Sankirtan movement, and then we hear about his internal reason for coming in the verse number 6. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful quality in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love. The Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotion, appear from the womb of Srimati Sakshi Devi, as the moon appears from the ocean. So the reason, external reason, Advaitacharya, petitioning the Lord offering love of God, spreading his Sankirtan movement, and then the true internal reason, the desire to understand the glories of Radharani's love and the wonderful qualities that she sees in him and the happiness that she feels. So that's the internal energy. The Lord really come out of his causeless mercy, and he come out of his own desire. And of course, he is Radha and Krishna in the spiritual world. And when he came on earth, just a moment before for him, and he came with Srimati Radharani, and they together are the centerpiece of all worship, of all happening. And the Lord Sri Krishna, with all knowledge, he knows everything. He's full of all knowledge, full of 6 opulence. One of them is knowledge. He doesn't understand Srimati Radharani, and he really wants to understand what does she see in him, what the beauty she sees in him, what's the love she has, and he wants to relish that himself, that love, and that's internal reason for the advent of Lord Chaitanya. So I'm going to stop here for the first few verses in the Caitanya Caritamrita, and then we can go to volume 9 in volume 3 of Adi-lila. In volume 3 of Adi-lila, that's where we have the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, started with chapter 13, which is the birth of Lord Chaitanya. So if there is anyone here who would like to read, I invite you to read. Otherwise, I will read, but I will prefer for others to read. We can start from the beginning, or we can start from the summary, or we can start from text 6, whatever you choose. Anandini.
Yes,
Thanks.
I'm ready to read. What is it, Justin? Text 6 or from the beginning?
It's up to you. The beginning is kind of bring it, it's again like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, kind of the condense, and then the expansion happen after that.
Okay, so I'll start with text 6.
Okay.
Both the Bengali and English?
It's up to you. You decide.
Okay, I'll try the Bengali. Eita kailai grantarambe mukha panda ebe kahi Caitanya lila kram ebe kahi Caitanya lila krama anubanda. Thus I have spoken the preface of Caitanya Caritamrita. Now I shall give a synopsis of the entire book in the form of quotes. Pratamita sutra rupe kariye ganana pachetaha vistari kariba vivarana. First, let me state the pastimes of the Lord in quotes. Then I shall describe them in detail. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Navadvipe Avatari Atachalisha Vatsara Prakata Vihari. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, adventing himself in Navadvip, was visible for 48 years, enjoying his pastimes. Kaudashata Sata Shakhe Chanmera Pramana Kaudashata Panchaniha Ila Antardana. In the year 1407 of the Shaka era, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, and in the year 1455 he disappeared from this world. Jabisha Vatsara Prabhu Kaila Grihavasa Nirantara Kaila Krishna Kirtana Vilasa. For 24 years, Lord Chaitanya lived in the Grihastha ashram, household life, always engaging in the pastimes of the Hare Krishna movement. Jabisha Vatsara Sheshe Kariya Sanyasa Vara Jabisha Vatsara Kaila Nila Chalevasa. After 24 years, he accepted the renounced order of life, sannyas, and he resided for 24 years more at Jagannath Puri. Taramade Jaya Vatsara Gamana Gamana Kabu Dakshina Kabu Goda Kabu Vrindavana. Of these last 24 years, he spent the first 6 years continuously touring India, sometimes in South India, sometimes in Bengal, and sometimes in Vrindavan. Ashtadasha Vatsara Rahila Nila Chale Krishna Premana Mamrita Pasala Sakale. For the remaining 18 years, he continuously stayed in Jagannath Puri. Chanting the nectarian Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he inundated everyone there in a flood of love of Krishna. Garhasti Prabhura Lila Adi-lila Kyana Madhya Antya Lila Shesha Lila Ratuinama. The pastimes of his household life are known as Adi-lila, or the original pastimes. His later pastimes are known as Madhya Lila and Antya Lila, or the middle and final pastimes. Adi-lila Madhya Prabhurayate Kacharita Shutra Rupe Murari Gupta Karila Gratita. All the pastimes enacted by Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu in his Adi-lila were recorded in the form of quotes by Murari Gupta. Prabhuraya Sheshalila Svarupta Mudara Sutrakare Grantilena Grantera Pitara. His later pastimes, Madhya Lila and Antya Lila, were recorded by his secretary, Swarup Damodar Goswami, and thus kept within a book. Edu Janera Sutra Tekyas Uniya Varnana Karena Vaishnava Kramaye Kariya. By seeing and hearing the notes recorded by these two great personalities, a Vaishnava, a devotee of the Lord, can know these pastimes one after another. Valya Pauganda Kaishora Yovana Charibeda Attaeva Adikandelila Charibeda. In his original pastimes, there are 4 divisions: Valya, Pauganda, Kaishora, and Yovana: childhood, early boyhood, later boyhood, and youth. Is this Sanskrit again?
Mm-hmm.
Sarvas, I don't know the name.
Sarvasat Gunapurnam Tam.
Sarvasat Gunapurnam Tam. Vande Falguna Purninam. Yasyam Shri Krishna Chaitanyo. Vatirna Krishna Namabihi. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the full moon evening in the month of Falguna, an auspicious time full of auspicious symptoms, when Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu advented himself with the chanting of the holy name, Hare Krishna.
Okay, so like we read this overview of all his life, and then also where the information is coming from. And then now we are starting the narration. You can continue, or someone else.
I'm happy for someone else to continue.
Anybody else would like to read? We are on text 19, chapter. Well, yeah, we just read text 19. We are on text 20 of chapter 13 of Adi-lila. Anybody else would like to read? Okay, we'll read a little bit, and after you can read again. And if there is any question, comments, or if you want to just tell a story you like about Lord Chaitanya anytime, we can, flow with everybody's inspiration about Lord Chaitanya.
I want to make a comment.
Yes.
This last verse about the full moon, and I was taking a walk yesterday, like before sunset, so it was still daylight, but there was no sun visible, and the moon was so incredible. It wasn't quite full, because for us it's tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Still, like, it was very, very huge, and I was just thinking of, like how much knowledge we get about the moon from the Vedas. It's not just some balloon up there. Because it did look a bit like a balloon that's not fully
expanded. Yeah.
And then also how the moon is used in such a poetic way, like in all of Lord Chaitanya's. I mean, in his Shikshastakam, he speaks about the moon, and like the light of the moon, how soothing the light of the moon is, and so it was just a special moment for me.
Yeah, like Krishna consciousness kind of reconditioned us to the reality. And then now when you see the moon, you think of Krishna.
Yes.
And you think of Krishna, you think of the description of the moon, how cooling the moon is for the heart. How Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda is like the sun and the moon. And there is so many analogy and so many knowledge about the moon. And in that darshan, your darshan with the moon, there was having darshan with Krishna.
Yeah, and it's really like, like the world becomes like a really beautiful, friendly place.
Mm.
My experience, more and more, whereas before it was just like a scary, horrible place to be.
Yeah. Now that's your shakshusha. Shakshusha is like shakshu, it's to see with a shastra, with the eye of shastra. And so now that you see the world through the eyes of shastra, then the world becomes like a securing, sheltering place. And without seeing through the eyes of shastra, then it's a very scary place.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody else would like to share or read? Okay. So we are on text 20 of Adi-lila, chapter 13. Falguna Purnima Sadaya Pabura Janma Udaya Sekale Daiva Yoge Chandra Gahanaya. On the full moon evening of the month of Falguna, when the Lord took birth coincidentally, there was also a lunar eclipse. We don't believe that. Isn't it? I don't believe it's a coincidence. Anyway, Prabhupada says the month of Falguna in a Bengali calendar is between February 15 and March 15. Like, you know, if you there is only 2 classes that are recorded of Srila Prabhupada give on Gaur Purnim and the day after Gaur Purnim. So, you know, I encourage you all to listen. He speaks a lot about accepting authority there. It's quite nice. We can read from them too. I have them here. Hari Hari Bale Loka Arashita Ana Janmila Caitanya Prabhu Namajamaya. In jubilation, everyone was chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. Hari, Hari, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then appeared after first causing the appearance of the holy name. Srila Prabhupada explained that even the Muslim, because at the time not everybody was a Vaishnava, but the Muslim, the Hindus, everybody, when there was an eclipse of the moon, because the eclipse of the moon is very inauspicious, then people will go into the Ganges River to get protected, and they will chant the name of Hari. It's like something that people will do. So the Lord makes sure that the holy name appear on the tongue of the population before he made his appearance. I'm not going to read the Sanskrit anymore. I'm just going to read the English to get the flow of the story. At his birth, in his childhood, in his early and later boyhood, as well as in his youth, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, under different pleas, induced people to chant the holy name of Hari, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. In his childhood, when the Lord was crying, he would stop immediately upon hearing the holy name of Lord Hari. All the friendly ladies who came to see the child will chant the holy name, Hari, Hari, as soon as the child will cry. So we can imagine if a child is like that, we will sing a lot of Hari, Hari, and the child will take pleasure in crying too. When that's the absolute nature of the transcendental energy, a child cry in pleasure to make people chant Hare Krishna. When all the ladies saw this fun, they enjoyed laughing and called the Lord, Gora Hari, Gora, Gora, Gora Hari, Gora, Gora, Gora Hari. Since then, Gauri became another of his names. His childhood lasted until the date of Atekadi, the beginning of his education, and his age from the end of his childhood until he married is called Poganda. After his marriage, his youth began, and in his youth, he induced everyone to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra everywhere and anywhere and everywhere. During his Poganda age, he became a serious student and also thought taught disciples. In this way, he used to explain the holy name of Krishna everywhere. And if any of you, because I was asked where to find information of Lord Chaitanya, in the book Teaching of Lord Chaitanya, there is a preface, and in that preface, there is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's summary of the life of Lord Chaitanya, and he goes into more details than is given even in the Caitanya Caritamrita. So that's a place where you can really find the whole life of Lord Chaitanya in Teaching of Lord Chaitanya. I think it's a preface or introduction, one of them you can find yourself. It's by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Because here it's kind of going fast. It's going to be expanded later on. After his marriage, his youth began, and in his youth, he induced everyone to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra everywhere and anywhere and everywhere. During his program at IHG, he became a serious student and also taught disciples. In this way, he used to explain the holy name of Krishna everywhere. Krishna, 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 Krishna. That's one of the pastime of Lord Chaitanya when he cleaned the Gaudiya temple. And everybody was having buckets and sponges and brooms and cleaning the Gaudiya temple together. And every time they needed to speak, instead of speaking, they would say, Krishna, 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 Krishna. So, so that's what Lord Chaitanya did. When teaching the course in grammar, Vyakarana, and explaining it with notes, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his disciple about the glories of Lord Krishna. All explanation culminated in Krishna, and his disciple will understand them very easily. Thus, his influence was wonderful. I'm going to read the purport. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Jiva Goswami compiled the grammar in two-part named Lagu Hari Namamrita Vyakarana and Brihad Dari Namamrita Vyakarana. If someone studies these two texts in Vyakarana or grammar, he learns the grammatical rules of the Sanskrit language and simultaneously learns how to become a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Is that great? Teaching grammar to children, and as we teach grammar, they become devotees. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, first chapter, there is a statement about the method by which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught grammar. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the code of grammar to be eternal, like the holy name of Krishna. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Vedaishach sarva haha eva vidya. The purport of all revealed scriptures is understanding of Krishna. Therefore, if a person explains anything that is not Krishna, he simply wastes his time laboring hard without fulfilling the aim of his life. So that's something we can meditate on, like explaining everything, because everything has its source in Krishna. So in a sense, there is no possibility of explaining anything that's separated from Krishna. Or if we do that, then it's a waste of time. If one simply becomes a teacher or professor of education, but does not understand Krishna, it is to be understood that he is among the lowest of mankind. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Naradama Mayaya Paritagana. If one does not know the essence of all revealed scriptures, but still becomes a teacher, his teaching is like the disturbing braying of an ass.
No, this is the text I read on the morning when I started my new job as a teacher.
It's wonderful. You put everything in place, because that's true. We can put everything in like we don't need to say Krishna in a secular teaching, but at least the consciousness of the teacher is going to affect the consciousness of the student. That's wonderful you did that. I wish all teachers in the world will do that. and all teachers, even devotee teachers.
It wasn't planned. I was just continuing my reading, my personal reading, yes, and that's the text I read.
Then it was a coincidence.
Yeah, it was a coincidence, an accident. It wasn't about me.
Yade Caitanya Caritamrita Krishnanam Basaila Navadvipagram. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a student, he asked whomever he met to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. In this way, he inundated the whole town of Navadvip with the chanting of Hare Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The present Navadvip Dham is but a part of the whole Navadvip. Navadvip means 9 islands. These 9 islands, which occupy an area of land estimated at 9 of those islands of the Navadvip area, there are different places for cultivating devotional service. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that there are Navavida Bhakti, 9 different activities of devotional service. So the 9 islands, they have one of the devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma, Nivedanam. So even now there is parikram, pilgrimage, that go in different islands of the 9 islands, and where they go to these islands, they focus on this specific item of devotional service.
Can you
follow? Excuse me?
Can you say more about that? Each island, like how they're connected to the...
It's right there. Prabhupada is continuing the purport. Okay, so Madhya Dvip is connected with Shravanam, and Antar Dvip is connected with Shravanam. Shimanta Dvip is connected with Kirtanam. Godruma Dvip, which is where Bhaktivinoda Thakur have his place, is connected with Smaranam, and Madhya Dvip is connected with Padasevanam, and Kola Dvip is connected with Archanam. Ritu Dvip is connected with Vandanam. Jandu Dvip is connecting with Dasyam, and Modadrum Dvip is connected with Sakyam, and Rudra Dvip is connected with Atma Nivedanam. According to the settlement map, our ISKCON Navadvip center is situated in Rudradvip Island. Below Rudradvip is Antardvip is Mayapur. There, Sri Jagannath Mishra, the father of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, used to reside. In all these different islands, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a young man, used to lead his Sankirtan party. He thus inundated the entire area with the wave of love of Krishna. So it seems Lord Chaitanya, he performed in all the dvip the same kirtan. So kirtan cover all other service. Just prior to his youthful life, he began the Sankirtan movement. Day and night, he used to dance in ecstasy with his devotees. Someone would like to continue reading? The Gauda and Damayanti Prabhus, Parampa Prabhu, and Nandini, if you want to read again, if nobody else wants. You want to read again, no, Nandini?
Okay, yes. The Sankirtan movement went on from one part of the town to another, as the Lord wandered everywhere performing kirtan. In this way, he inundated the whole world by distributing love of Godhead. Purport. One may raise the question how all 3 worlds became inundated with love of Krishna, since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed kirtan only in the Navadvip area. The answer is that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. The entire cosmic manifestation results from the Lord's first setting it in motion. Similarly, since the Sankirtan movement was first set in motion 500 years ago by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire that it spread all over the universe, the Krishna consciousness movement is the Krishna consciousness movement, in continuity of that same motion, is now spreading all over the world, and in this way it will gradually spread all over the universe. With the spread of the Krishna consciousness movement, everyone will merge in an ocean of love of Krishna.
Jai. So the external causes are Sankirtan and book distribution or preaching to people, and the real cause is Krishna, because the movement it's a movement, so it's moving regardless if we participate or not, like the sun is going to rise.
Yeah, this is so inspiring, and it was there was a documentary, like 10 minutes documentary about the Krishna temple in Zurich. Like someone went to visit and they made an interview with the temple president, and I was so upset afterwards because like they asked, so what are you, well, like, what's the temple? What is your religion about? And they said, oh yeah, it's like a Hindu religion. That's what they were saying. That's how they presented Krishna consciousness, as a Hindu religion. And I was so like upset, because I thought, who's interested in another religion?
Yeah.
And they're all wearing these orange things, and I was upset. I thought, what a shame, what a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
To share what Krishna consciousness is about. It's a consciousness, and like described here, it's a movement that's happening, and we can.
It's happening regardless of Zurich temple or not.
That's a good.
It's going to happen. It is happening. Yeah, yesterday in that class, I encourage you all to listen to the class. This just to class Prabhupada gave. In that class, he is in Hawaii, and he tells his disciple, the movement is small right now, but by the hard work, it's going to become big. And so he was like, it's going to become big.
Yeah, I was, just after watching this documentary, I was listening to a class by Srila Prabhupada about the verses. I'm considering to give class tomorrow on the verses of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the 2 verses he read on the palm leaf.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was listening to a class by Srila Prabhupada about these 2 verses. And then he was saying, don't think Krishna is Hindu. Don't think he's Indian. And he was so clear. Don't present it as Hindu.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say that, but that's what I thought.
Yeah. I see on the chat you have a question, Anandini. So the introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam, my understanding is Srila Prabhupada gives a summary of Lord Chaitanya's life and teaching, and is what we have at the beginning of the teaching of Lord Chaitanya is different. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, like in the introduction to the Srimad Bhagavatam, I haven't read it for a long time, but my memory is like there's a lot of philosophy too, like Prabhupada gives, like Lord Chaitanya, but also a lot of philosophy. In the teaching of Lord Chaitanya, that introduction is just almost like historical, chronological fact about Lord Chaitanya by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Yeah. So it's not the same one yet. Yeah. Nice. You are going to give the glorification, and there is beautiful song by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Pranamami Sachi Sutta Gauravaram. That he described, it's like 108 qualities of Lord Chaitanya.
Mm.
Yeah, I can find the name if you would like to add that to your class or sing it. The melody is very beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's a really nice direction for your class. Yeah, to have a glorification of Lord Chaitanya by an impersonalist.
Yeah. Well, it gives a lot of like inputs, to speak about impersonalism and the power of Lord Chaitanya, how he managed to, capture the hearts of them and change their mind. And
completely.
okay, so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived in the Navadvip area for 24 years, and he induced every person to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and thus merge in love of Krishna. For his remaining 24 years, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after accepting the renounced order of life, stayed at Jagannath Puri with his devotees. For 6 of these 24 years in Nilachala, Jagannath Puri, he distributed love of Godhead by always chanting and dancing. Beginning from Cape Comorin and extending through Bengal to Vrindavan, during these 6 years, he toured all of India, chanting, dancing, and distributing love of Krishna. It's amazing. I mean, it's thousands of kilometers.
Yeah.
Just.
It feels so attractive to me, though, to walk from one place to another. Yeah.
Yeah. The activities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his travels after he accepted sannyas are his principal pastimes. His activities, the activities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his travels after he accepted sannyas are his principal pastime. His activities during his remaining 18 years are called Antya-lila, or the final portion of his pastimes. For 6 of the 18 years, he continuously stayed in Jagannath Puri. He regularly performed kirtan, inducing all the devotees to love Krishna simply by chanting and dancing. For the remaining 12 years, he stayed in Jagannath Puri. He taught everyone how to taste the transcendental mellow ecstasy of love of Krishna by tasting it himself. A person who is advanced in Krishna consciousness, it's a purport. The person who is advanced in Krishna consciousness always feels separation from Krishna, because such a feeling of separation excels the feeling of meeting Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his last 12 years of existence within this world at Jagannath Puri, taught the people of the world how, with the feeling of separation, one can develop his dormant love for Krishna. Such feelings of separation or meeting with Krishna are different stages of love of Godhead. These feelings develop in time when a person seriously engages in devotional service. The highest stage is called Prema Bhakti, but this stage is attained by executing sadhana bhakti. One should not try to elevate himself artificially to the stage of Prema Bhakti without seriously following the regulative principles of sadhana bhakti. Prema Bhakti is the stage of relishing, whereas sadhana bhakti is the stage of improving in devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught this cult of devotional service in full detail by practical application in his own life. It is said, therefore, Apaniyachari Bhakti Sikai Mu Shnabare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, and in the role of a Krishna Bhakta, a devotee of Krishna, he instructed the entire world how one can execute devotional service and thus go back home, back to Godhead, in due course of time.
Yeah, so nice.
Today, I have a coaching client, and she's practicing to control her mind, like that's where she's at. And she was sharing with me her experience, and I was thinking, like, actually, it's this instruction by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita that it's possible to control the mind by constant practice and attachment. I was thinking, wow, it's actually quite inspiring to look at chanting, for example, as a training for controlling the mind. Like some go to the gym to, get their muscles trained, and I can look at chanting as a workout to get the mind controlled. Sadhana, like it's sadhana bhakti. It's good.
Yeah, the chanting mantra, mantra means controlling the mind. And the Maha Mantra is the most powerful to do that. I'm not experiencing that, but it's the most powerful. I guess what we experience is like as we chant, we become more aware of the mind.
Yes.
Most people are not even aware that they have a mind. They are so identified with it that they cannot make a difference. Oh, this is just my mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Read another, 5-6 minutes.
I'm happy to pass it on. If someone else wants to read.
Someone else would like to read? We're on text 40 of Adi-lila, chapter 13. Okay, I can read. Rati Diva Se Krishna Virahas Purana Unmadera Shestakare Pralapa Vachana. Day and night, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt separation from Krishna. Manifesting symptom of his separation, it cried and talked very inconsistently, like a madman. As Srimati Radharani talked inconsistently when she met Uddhava, so also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu relished both day and night such an ecstatic talk in a mood of Srimati Radharani. Purport is Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. In this connection, one should refer to Srimati Radharani soliloquy, I think, after meeting Uddhava in Vrindavan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented a similar picture of such an ecstatic imaginary talking, full of jealousy and madness, symptomizing neglect of Krishna. Srimati Radharani, criticizing a bumblebee, talked just like a mad woman. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the last days of his pastime, exhibited all the symptoms of such ecstasy. In this connection, one should refer to the fourth chapter of Adi-lila, verse 107 and 108. The Lord used to read the book of Vidyapati, Jayadev, and Chandidas, while he sings the songs with his confidential associate like Sri Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar Goswami. So there is a purport, and that will be the last things we read. Vidyapati was a famous composer of songs about the pastime of Radha Krishna. He was an inhabitant of Mithila, born in a Brahman family. It is calculated that he composed his songs during the reign of King Shivasima and Queen Lakshmi Devi. In the beginning of the 14th century of the Saka era, almost 100 years before the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the 12th generation of Vidyapati's descendant is still living. Vidyapati's song about the pastime of Lord Krishna expressed intense feeling of separation from Krishna, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu relished all those songs in his ecstasy of separation from Krishna. Jayadev was born during the reign of Maharaj Lakshman Sena of Bengal in the 11th and 12th century of the Shaka era. His father was Bhojadeva and his mother was Vamadevi. For many years, he lived in Navadvip, then the capital of Bengal. His birthplace was in the Bihum district in the village of Kumbha Bilva. In the opinion of some authority, however, he was born in Orissa, and still others say that he was born in South India. He passed the last days of his life in Jagannath Puri. One of his famous books is Gita Govinda, which is full of transcendental melodies, feelings of separation from Krishna. The copies felt separation from Krishna before the Rasa dance. As mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Gita Govinda expresses such a feeling. There are many commentaries on the Gita Govinda by many Vaishnavas. That's quite amazing to think, like Srila Prabhupada gives so much details about those Vaishnavas, but to imagine how those Vaishnavas, what they wrote, was read by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and relished by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is really mind-blowing to like they were Vaishnavas. They were, of course, Vaishnava always on earth, just hidden often in those years. And they were writing about the pastime of Radha and Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya, the Lord himself, Lord Shri Krishna coming out as Lord Chaitanya, was reading their own book. Chandidas was born in the village of Nanura, which is also in the Birum district of Bengal. He was born of a Brahmin family, and it is said that he also took birth in the beginning of the 14th century Shabdaka era. And it has been suggested that Chandidas and Vidyapati were great friends because the writing of both expressed transcendental feelings of separation profusely. The feeling of ecstasy described by Chandidas and Vidyapati were actually exhibited by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He relished all those feelings in the role of Sri Radharani and is appropriate associate for the purpose where Sri Ramanda Roy and Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami. This intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu helps the Lord very much in the pastime in which he felt like Radharani. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments in his connection that such a feeling of separation as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enjoyed from the books of Vidyapati, Chandidas, and Jayadev are especially reserved for persons like Sri Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar, who were Paramahamsa, men of the topmost perfection because of their advanced spiritual consciousness. Such a topic are not to be discussed by ordinary person imitating the activity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For critical students of mundane poetry and literary men without God consciousness, who are after bodily sense gratification, there is no need to read such a high standard of transcendental literature. Persons who are after sense gratification should not try to imitate Raganuga devotional service. In their sound, Chandidas, Vidyapati, and Jayadev have described the transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mundane viewer of the song of Vidyapati, Jayadev, and Chandidas simply help people in general become devotees in this leads only to social scandal, atheism in the world. One should not misunderstand the pastime of Radha and Krishna to the activity of a mundane young boy and girl. The mundane sexual activity of young boys and girls are most abominable. Therefore, those who are in a bodily consciousness and who desire sense gratification are forbidden to indulge in discussion in the transcendental pastime of Sri Radha and Krishna. So that's clear that if we, absorb ourselves there without having sadhana bhakti and the strength of seriousness of Krishna consciousness, then it becomes a farce. Like spiritual life becomes very cheap. What I like about this last part is something I always think, I laugh about it, is Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy, they're always Lord Chaitanya. And so they sing those songs, and Lord Chaitanya goes into ecstasy. And so he trembles and he loses consciousness and it's, like foam and all those things. And as soon as they see Lord Chaitanya going into ecstasy, then they need to do something to get him out. And as soon as he is out, they do something that put him back there. And as soon as he is there, they're like worried, like what's happening to Lord Chaitanya? We need to get him out. And like that back and forth, the Antya-lila is full of that, like them kind of doing something that put Lord Chaitanya in ecstasy. And as soon as Lord Chaitanya is in ecstasy, them coming to a place of anxiety and needing to do something to get him out. Anyway, I think it's fun. Any other comments? Your favorite pastime of Lord Chaitanya? Questions? And Nandini, I wish you a beautiful Go Punim tomorrow. Beautiful discussion, class, kirtan, prashadam, feasting, dancing, chanting, all of that.
Thank you. I actually like it that it's spread out over different days in different continents. I get this is preparation for me.
Yeah, it's nice to have a few days of celebration. There's a place where Srila Prabhupada says 2 days celebration. I think it was once when he was in Montreal. He said something like, there is a Nanda Maharaj festival the day after Janmashtami, Nandatsov. And so is Jagannath Mishra's festival is the next day. I really like it. It should be the biggest festival with big prashadam. Hare Krishna, thank you. Shri Shri Gaura Purnima ki jai, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Gaura 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 Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
See you soon.